Okay. It is Thursday, 9:52 a.m. I know I'm a day late, but it's the first thing I'm doing today. Um yeah, I know. I'm also early. So I've been trying to wake up earlier these past couple days. I always said I need to fix my schedule. So I have the alarm set at 8 a.m. every day. The only problem is I'm not getting my full 8 hours of sleep. It's more like 7. It's not like detrimental or anything, but not really getting my 8 because I tend to sleep around I go to bed around like 12 and sometimes 12:30, so yeah. Um but yeah, I have not it's been rough, I'm gonna be honest. Like it's I've been wasting less hours in the morning, yeah. And but it's not it doesn't feel the greatest to wake up, and I don't know, maybe I'm not used to it yet since I've been so used to waking up later that even setting it back a couple hours, even with the new daylight savings time that just ended, so it actually gained an hour. So yeah, 4 hours of sleep, like basically just going back like back forth. But yeah, hmm, be honest, I feel tired. Um, I also need to take a shower. I was supposed to take a shower yesterday, but they said we were gonna play ball, so we did. Played some ball, and yeah, I don't know. I guess I just didn't get around to doing it. Maybe I should have, because I do not feel clean right now. I feel dirty as hell. So yeah, because after I went on a run, and then I got home. Then then we ran ball. So mind you, I didn't know about ball, so I still went on a run. Um. Well, um. So I wanted to talk about something today, and it was like a topic more about how do I say this? I don't know. Talking about the feeling of like people being out to get me, like if that makes sense, like that feeling that you get when people are out to get you, and it's mostly irrational and mostly like thing, but I think I've thinking about it, about even about recent situations. um I've always been sort of insecure and paranoid almost, and I've been paranoid that people are out to get me, and I tend to take little things, especially from friends and just generally other people. I, I take these small little things that happen, like things that are out of the norm. Um, like for example, if a person seems to be a little more grumpy, or I don't know, a little bit more aggressive or passive aggressive or something like that, even though I don't even know if that's a case. I kind of I make a lot of assumptions about other people being out to get me, and like I make it seem like people have a certain personal vendetta against me, and that makes me, under those assumptions, that makes me think of a person differently and negatively. That makes me think of them. It's almost like I'm assuming the worst out of them, and it's like I treat them differently, and that's makes it a fact, even though it was done under assumption. And the reason why I think that I shouldn't be doing that, well, it's because I think that um I don't know. I think it's just unhealthy, and I know roughly why that's the case is because I know I'm like insecure, especially when it comes to social things. Like I've always been a insecure and sensitive person from time to time, and based on how I think people are treating me, not of what the facts are, not of how people are treating me, because of what I think, I react either negatively or react in ways where it's not fair because it's under assumption. I don't even know if anything I'm saying is making sense. But basically, I tend to treat people differently, and I tend to treat people differently and start to dislike people based on the assumption that other people don't like me or have done things, or not even, or have done small minor things that makes me think that they dislike me. So yeah, um, obviously, from what I think, that's obviously a case of insecurity and just overall, I don't know. I honestly think it's a case of insecurity. Um, hmm. And I don't know why I'm talking about it. It's not like talking about it will help me stop doing that. I think I'm being more aware of it though, so that when it does happen, when there is situations like that, I can, I guess, remind myself and acknowledge it so that I can better respond to it. That um because it's and if anyone ever watches this, if anyone ever, which I doubt no one will, and hopefully no one will, because a lot of these things I don't actually want people to see. It's just in case, um but I always, anyway, yeah, just in case, if there's anyone I've ever treated negatively and suddenly has shown dislike or hatred, most probably it was because it was more about me and less about you. Because that's just how I operated. That's how I think I will still operate until I get it under sort of, I until I, acknowledge it and like actually hopefully change things. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of cases where I sort of have, I did that, where I shown hatred and I reacted negatively under assumptions, and it's not fair to those people. who knows? Maybe some of those cases, my worst thoughts could have been true, but innocent till proven guilty, right? Like I not even because I don't know. It's like small minor things, and I always think sometimes my ego kind of leads the thinking, and I think the world revolves around me, and I think every single little thing people do, even small like negative minor things, I think of them as directed towards me. I think of them as hatred towards me, even though people might be having a rough day, people having a tired day. Um, I don't know. It could be anything, and I in those moments I tend to forget the all the other things, like all the non minor things, but the big positive things. And yeah, and I think I lose sight of that, and I just want to apologize to anyone whoever wronged because of that. Um, no, talking about this won't absolve me of any of those. It doesn't mean that it's okay now that I can continue doing it. Um, without the need of feeling bad, but I should feel bad, and it's good that I recognize it. So yeah, and I know like I don't know if I'm being too self-critical or if it's a normal thing. If it's one of those minor things in life that I shouldn't even be paying attention to, but to me it seems important enough that I should at least talk about it and acknowledge it. And it seems like one of those things that stay prevalent even throughout the years. So I need to acknowledge it. So that indicates that it continues on for days on days. I mean, days on years. I have it at least acknowledged, and I'm aware of it so that I can make changes, and you know, hopefully that will lead to better social life and lead to me being better as a person to other people. Um, there was something I was listening to in an audiobook called "Thinking Like a Monk" to think how to think like a monk, and one of the things was saying, when you think of the worst of people, you're usually thinking the worst of yourself, and I think that can be true. I'm gonna be honest. My self confidence hasn't been the best this you know these past couple days, and I don't know if it's the being tired. I don't know if it's the waking up too early and not being used to it yet, or it could also be like I stepped on the scale a couple of days ago, and it was like 153 or one, I don't know, something crazy like 154, which is more than what I initially did, which was 152. But it's not even that big. It's like it could be just a slight fluctuation, and like it could have just been unbloated or something, or it could be just 2 pounds, but that's just 2 pounds, and that shouldn't change my whole criticism of myself. That shouldn't change the way I look at myself. Also, the reason why I think I've been bloated is because I've been eating like crap recently. Like I've been eating out and ordering. But hey, we'll talk about that some other time. But yeah, I mean, I think, yeah, definitely my self esteem, and my confidence in myself, and how I think of myself generally does affect the way I think of people and how they think of me, what I think they think of me, and like how much I put more value into that rather than what they actually do, rather than the actual things they do in my life, and the fact that they talk to me, the fact that they give me attention, the fact that they give me um I don't know, like I need to be more um I need to show more gratitude to those people, because They friends is has been a big part of my life. Like they allowed me to have, like, it just allowed me to feel like I have people and friends, and those are important. Like, I don't show that gratitude enough. I don't. Like, for example, Chris is a really good friend of mine, and he drives me around all the time, all the time. And he's the reason why, I honestly think he's the sole reason why m- me and my friends are still together, like the MT group. I honestly think he's one of the biggest reasons, and I don't show that gratitude enough, and it does make me feel guilty in a way, because I don't know how to show that gratitude. But if anything, the one of the first things I can do, one of the only obligations I can, is to treat him fairly and treat him according to what he does, and treat him according to um how he treats me, and not how I think he thinks of me. And, like, there was a time in my life where I used to think he was out to get me, where I've had problems with self-esteem and respect, and I he was one of the people that I treated unfairly due to assumptions that I made based on little minor things. And that's not fair to him, and it just goes to show, like, that to me is a big, big reason. And I am just so glad that I'm able to talk about this and acknowledge it, because that only enforces the realizations that I make. And you know and, like, I am genuinely grateful for people like Chris, because it's like they do everything. They 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 do so much without even realizing it, and they still do it, even though it might be hard, or not even hard, but it might be inconvenient, because sometimes, like, it is inconvenient. I can't imagine having to drive everyone around, and I can't imagine having to do that after 8 hours of work, and having to do school on top of it. Like, he's an actual G, you know? And one of these days, I gotta, like, really. Oh, my stomach's grumbly. One of these days, I don't know. You really gotta show appreciation somehow, and, like, I just think genuinely I don't treat him fairly enough, and it shouldn't even be conditional. You know what I mean? Like, it shouldn't even be conditioned on the fact that he does drive people around, because he's just overall a good person. I think that makes it sound so bad, but uh, I do genuinely believe that he is a good person, and that he deserves every good right to be treated fairly by his friend. And it's not that, like, I no, look, it's not that recently I've been mistreating him in any way. It's just that, you know, some it's not just him too. Some days I just think people that do good to me, when they do something super minor, and then I look way too deep into it, and I just end up treating them unfairly in my head, and thinking of them in a different light because of those things, because of assumptions and things like that. And it's just super unfair to people. And yeah, I don't know. And I think I'm extremely lucky to have people like him. I'm just saying. Yeah. I gotta work out and take a shower. um, yeah. So I don't know. It's weird. I think. I think for a long time I've cared too much about what other people think of me, and I cared too much. And where so many times where I put too much importance on that, and it impacted things negatively. Not even impacted me, like it's impacted me negatively, but it's also impacted my relationships with people, and like I've made serious mistakes, you know? And it makes me feel like I don't know. Yeah. Um yeah. Um Sorry, I just figured out there's a stream today on Healthy Gamer on Obese to Beast. That's pretty cool. You know? So cool. Um but yeah,
We back?
well there
I gotta
was
move.
already a
I don't
stream,
know
it's
what's
already
going on with my
gone.
internet, man.
But
Trust me, I know how that is.
um
Okay.
It's happened to me many times.
Fuck, man.
yeah,
So I guess they missed the punchline, but okay. So like I was saying, just to recap, you had sort of said that you felt like I'd asked you about the
what else? What else can I talk about?
I'd asked you about what it felt like to
Should I
have
talk about it?
the
Well,
the typewriter or whatever,
my week
and then
break
you
from
kind of felt
school
like
is
they
basically
labeled
done.
you with something different.
I mean,
And
that
you got
wasn't really a
scarlet
break,
letter,
but
and then I'd asked the question
like
for
big
people who
projects
missed
have
it.
been
Um,
done.
how many
and
people
now
had
new
a
projects are
nickname when
here,
they
so
graduated? And then you
cycle
said
keeps
no.
going. I guess you don't get really a break,
And
do
I
we?
think that's just an
Just
example
keep
of you
going until the
solidifying your isolation
end
from
of the semester.
rest of the world, right?
So yeah,
And
I
you
have
kind
some
of
schoolwork
owning
to
that
do
part.
today.
But at the end of the day, you're still isolating yourself. And I think that part of
I've also been thinking.
I'd imagine that when you feel worthless,
is
when you
hard
have that
to
kind of
stay
panic
on
attack,
top
you
of
also
everything.
feel incredibly, incredibly
Like,
isolated.
I don't have a job.
Oh yeah.
My school's
And
relatively
that
easy,
no one understands you.
and I only have a few obligations to do on
Um,
the week, which is running,
Can you tell me a little bit
meditation,
about those feelings, or
working
explain
out,
those, or just share with us what it
stretching,
feels like when you have these
reading.
panic attacks?
Yeah, I can
What
try.
else? Making sure to check my calendar.
Feels, like I said, like there's this numbness where it's like no matter
like,
what anyone says to me, no matter
but
it just
I
doesn't
still
matter.
find it
Like I can
difficult. I don't know why, but
like I said, I struggle with being still and like not, like my ADD, but like when I'm in this mode, I can be dead still, staring at a wall for an hour, not even thinking about it.
like meditating,
Like I don't. It's this
I don't
crazy
know. I used
feeling
to be
of like
so.
I just feel like
It
nothing
it feels
matters.
like
Like
I can
nothing
do.
matters. No,
Let's say I
nothing
have like
anyone
5
says
things to do in a
matters.
day,
And
like daily.
I
It
just
seems like
start
I
all
can
in.
consistently
I
do
guess I've heard the word
4 of them, 4
catastrophizing.
out of 5
So like
every
I feel
single
like I'll
day.
end up trying to find the
And
worst
it's not always the
things,
same thing.
things that can
Sometimes
make me
it's
feel the worst,
meditating
and
that
then
I
I
miss.
focus on those things.
Sometimes it's
And so like I'm
reading that I don't
intentionally
do.
being,
Sometimes
I'll
it's
intentionally be
checking the
really mean to
calendars that I
myself.
don't do. Sometimes
And
it's
this is where I say like I'm
you know
mean to other
just
people because again, obviously, if
certain
I'm close to
things,
someone
and
and I know this is going
it's
on, they're
mostly
trying to
based
reach
on
out
my
for
mood,
help.
and it's
Like my
mostly
girlfriend is the person that comes to
based
mind,
on what
and
I
I'm
want to
just
do.
like super dismissive,
And
and I'm just like,
obviously, I am being more
I'm this, I'm
critical of
worthless,
myself right
I'm
now, but
a piece of garbage. Like I'll say these things that are just so
it's just
mean,
hard.
like
I
that.
don't know if it's
You
hard,
know, if
or I
someone were
don't
to
know if
say it
it's
to me, I'd be like, "Screw you, man! Like, what are you
just
talking
me
about?"
being
But like,
lazy.
I have no problem saying it to
But I can't
myself.
always do all the
But I would
things
say like
that
the
I
thing
want
that
to do in a day.
it's like the world
And
kind of like,
sometimes
I
my
don't know if you had
motivation or will runs
the new
out.
AirPods, but like the
And
new
I
AirPods
know
are
it
noise
shouldn't be based
canceling.
off
You put them in
motivation,
and they
but
make like this. That's what it
generally
feels like.
my
That's how I feel like the world.
how much
I
energy
feel
and
like happens to the world
how ready
when
I
I'm
am
having those
to
feelings.
take
Like, I
on the
can
day
almost like
does
hear that
count for something, and I shouldn't
sound, and then
ignore
the noise
that.
cancellation is there. But instead
But
of noise cancellation, it's like world cancellation,
even with
where
that,
anything else
I
that's
find
going on
I
doesn't
don't know.
matter.
It seems like
Like there
I
could be
should be
bombs
able to
going
do
off
all these
next
things.
door, and I'm like, I don't freaking care, you know.
Again, I
Yeah, John.
am.
Honestly, it's bizarre, but this
That's
sounds
under
to
the
me like
comparison
a
of how
like when I
other
work with
people would
people
treat
with
it,
PTSD and they have flashbacks. It sounds like a flashback,
and
Mhm.
right?
you know
So
it
I
shouldn't be
work with someone
hard
who's a
to
teacher,
do all
and
those
then
things.
something
It
happened
shouldn't,
in
but
school, and
the
they
fact
like
is that I
jumped
don't,
under
and
their desk,
I don't know. I'm trying to figure that out.
right? And like they weren't in school anymore. Like the
One of
rest of
those
the
things
world disappears.
I am doing right now is
and they're like
making
trapped in
sure
their
that
own
I
mind.
wake up
Mhm.
And
every
that's honestly
morning,
what it sounds like
you
to me.
know,
Like you
to
become
get
sort of
that going.
trapped within your own mind, and it seems like a really
I don't know.
dark place.
I guess if anything, I should be
Yeah,
happy
I mean,
that
it
I'm
can be
even
in
doing
those.
4 out of
I mean,
5 rather
it
than
certainly can be in those
0 out of
moments.
5 or
Like
1 out of
that's why I
5,
say
because
like I feel like I'm a different
there's
person, 'cause it's
been
like
lots of
my
moments in
mind
my life
changes
where
as
I've
well.
literally
Yep.
done nothing and I've had
There's
no
only been
I've made
like
no
those happen. I don't want to
obligations
say
for
they happen like
myself,
super
and it
frequently.
was
It'll be maybe once a month or something like that. I've only
it's
had
good that
one
I at
time
least
where I
have some
genuinely
goals.
felt
At
like
least
I was
I
having
have
a
tasks
panic
or
attack.
things to do.
Where I remember
If
it
anything, I
was
should
towards like the
feel grateful
beginning
for how well
of
I'm doing.
quarantine.
And
And
I
I
am,
remember
It's just
I had injured my
obviously,
back doing a workout, and so
when you're on your
I
way,
was very like immobile at the time. And I
um,
know for me, working out is
all
a
you want to
huge
do
form of stress
is
release for me. Like I've noticed that
make
for
sure
sure.
you do the things that
And so I
you
was
set up
dealing
to
with a
do.
back
But
injury,
sometimes,
and I remember I was in the
well,
shower, and then
sometimes
I remember thinking, "Wow, I'm like
it doesn't
it's, like,
always
really hard
work
to
out
breathe
that way.
right now. Like I'm like something's kind of going on. Like my head feels kind of weird." And I remember
But yeah,
I ended up getting out of the shower and I got
like
into
yesterday,
my
I didn't even
bed.
meditate.
I
I didn't even
didn't even like
meditate,
dry myself off
but
because I was like, I feel like really weird.
I got
And then
some
I got
stretching
into
now.
my bed,
You know,
and then I remember I was like, oh, I think I think I'm gonna throw up. So then
I
I went
went out
back.
to play
I went
basketball with
back
the
into the
boys.
bathroom and laid
Even
by
though it
the
was a little
toilet.
late,
And I
that's
remember
fine.
just like
It's still a good
I felt like I was going to die.
good day with the
Like
boys.
it really
You know,
felt like I felt like I could. The reason I brought it up was the beginning of quarantine was because I was like super
but
stressed
yeah,
out about coronavirus. I was like, I could do? Am I
I think
like every day? I felt like I think I have it. I think I have it, and I would be like stressed out about it. So then I was like checking. I was like doing the whole thing
I
where I
place a
hold
lot
my
of
breath and be like, oh, can I still breathe? And then I was super worried about that.
anyway. That's
And
sorry,
then
my mind's
I started like
fumbled
feeling
right
like I could feel like my heartbeat in my
I don't even know what I'm
everything.
talking
Like I
about.
just felt like my whole heart was beating, and I genuinely was like, I think I'm
Yeah,
gonna die
yes,
right now. Like I was
if
seriously
anything,
thought I was going to die.
if there's anything I need to talk about,
And I
I will
remember I ended
do
up
it
like
in
I
some
was
other
just
video
I just
unscheduled,
laid in my
which is fine.
bathroom for a while,
But yeah,
and then I
I
finally
think mostly
started to
that's what I wanted to
like I
talk
said,
about,
like
which was
the noise cancellation kind of started to
just
lift,
small
and
updates
I could like
and
stand
how
up. But it
I
was like that's only
how
happened to me
I've
one time, but it was like
you know
the
how other people
scariest
think of
thing I
me
think
and like
I've ever been
what
through.
those things make me do
But
and
those
all
like
those things.
other
Yeah.
moments that I've talked about frequently, they happen, like pretty frequently, I guess, like once a month, once every few weeks.
Yeah. So, John, thank you for sharing that. Just a couple of
I'm glad I
thoughts. So the
talked
first
about
is
it.
that
I
it
think that's
sounds
not
like
it
it
though.
was
I
quite
think the
profound
big
and
part
powerful
of
of an
how I handle
experience.
things socially and like
And yet My
you know, it can't
preference
be
would be to focus on the other ones because those happen
can't be
more
just
frequently.
done and
Yeah,
talked
yeah,
over.
yeah.
You
The
know,
other
as long
thing
as
that-
they're
it
25
just
Yeah.
came to my
minutes.
mind.
You
No,
know,
I'm glad you shared
does
it. The other thing that I
require
would tell you is that really does sound like a panic attack.
a lot more reflection.
yeah,
I think it
nothing,
does, and I think
nothing
it's
you've
something that I
said
do
so
need to pay
far
attention
has
to.
made me think you need to potentially an evaluation or treatment for an actual
And
like,
and
illness.
I that scares me.
But
to say
I
that.
would
like,
say to
I
you
would
at
love
this point that
to
if
say
that
that,
kind
oh,
of thing continues to happen, you should absolutely
talking
go see a
about
doctor.
stuff.
Yeah.
So for people who don't know, just a real quick reason to go see a doctor is that
like, I
so
like
one of the
to-
hallmarks of panic attacks is a sense
I'd
of
like
what
to
they
think
call
that talking
impending
about
doom.
stuff does make it
So people like
better
actually think
or make it
that they're gonna die. And so it's a strange thing to ask someone, but sometimes I'll ask people,
less
do you have a sense of
overwhelming all of a
impending doom?
sudden.
And if
But
people have panic attacks, they're like, fuck yeah, that's it.
truth of the
That's what
matter
it
is that
like it's a sense of
not-
impending
things aren't
like,
resolved
this
in
is
under 30
real and I'm
minutes.
gonna
You know?
die now.
It does require reflection.
And that's what happens, and it's essentially a
I think
physiological
sometimes
response, right?
I
So,
like to
your-
fool
your-
myself, and
your
it happens a
adrenaline
lot.
is through the roof
it's
and things like
easy.
that. And
I
then
like to fool myself that
all your danger
just talking about it
circuitry
allows
lights
me
up
to
in your
never think
brain,
about it ever
and then
again.
like this is the part of your brain
The truth
that like,
is, when it's
warns
on my
you about
mind,
death. And
I
the
have to talk
problem is
about it
that
and acknowledge
normally
it
that
so I
part of
can
your brain
process through it
only
so that
activates when there's
not to
impending death.
just completely remove it,
Yeah.
but to
But what's
actually
happened is
manage
that
the
our
things,
brain now lives in a
manage the thoughts
society
better,
that we have
and
not evolved to
be
live
able
in.
to articulate it.
And so sometimes
ways
that
that I,
circuit of our like, oh shit,
you know,
we're gonna die circuit, that's the technical
handle.
neuroscientific
So,
term. That
yeah.
circuit sometimes activates inappropriately because it doesn't have like tigers and stuff to worry about.
Yeah.
So it activates in relation to like paying
That's
rent at the end of the month.